Speaker. Okay, take it away, Mark.
Well, thank you, especially Dorsía, for bringing together this amazing selection of poets from, well, I guess originally from Puerto Rico, and so today we are delighted to have you guys here. Before we get to you guys as the feature, I'm going to introduce my co-host Jeffrey Cyphers Wright, who received his MFA after studying with Allen Ginsberg. He's best known as a new romantic poet. He's also a publisher, critic, eco-activist, impresario, filmmaker, puppeteer, and artist. Jeff is the author of 19 books of poetry, including Blue Lyre and Party Everywhere. His poems have appeared in many journals, including the Cafe Review and New American Writing, the Brooklyn Rail, the Hurricane Review, and his recent work also appears in the anthologies Best American Poetry, New York Insiders, and Contemporary Surrealist and Magical Realist Poetry. Jeff's latest work is a collection of sonnets and artwork called Doppelgangster, which I'm proud to say came out from my own Mad Hat Press. Jeff recently, well, not so recently, but he won the Sir Vision James Tate Prize, and he publishes Live Mag.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. And I wanted to read from Doppelgangster today. And I appreciate this is the book from Cheshire, Massachusetts. And I hadn't realized what a great coincidence that was, that you lived in Cheshire and you ran Mad Hat. So that's cool. Because the Cheshire Cat hang out with the Mad Hat. So this is called The Auteur's Progress, and it's kind of a joke on the Rake's progress, but it's kind of like a list of the movies that I made as an auteur, which is, it's all fantasy, but anyway. The Auteur's Progress. The cuckoo's testimony, the cobbler's soul, the hatmaker's headache, the bell's endless toil, the witness's falsies, the trunk full of peanuts, the secretary of amnesia, the crabby fiddler, salt's white murmur, Charlotte's webinar, turning into Saturn, roasted blue inside. You are the one I find, lost in a desert of light. So that's from Doppelgangster, Mad Hat Press. Yay, thank you, Mark. And now I'm going to introduce the delightful, ever delightful, I should say, Cassandra Atherton, an award-winning prose poet and international expert on prose poetry. Her prose poetry is widely anthologized and has been translated into Japanese, Chinese, and Korean. Cassandra has published more than 30 books and is currently writing an illustrated book of prose poetry on the Hiroshima Maidens with funding from the Australia Council and the Victorian government. Cassandra co-wrote prose poetry and introduction and co-edited the anthology of Australian prose poetry. She's the commissioning editor for Westerly magazine and professor of writing and literature in Melbourne, Australia, where it is now 9:0358. Please welcome our co-host, Cassandra Atherton.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I always make the joke that I'm in the future here. It's Sunday morning, so it's always nice to think that, yeah, we're just that little space ahead in terms of it being morning. Not so good when it was Y2K and everyone thought that we would blow up first, well, after New Zealand. Anyway, I have a short prose poem called Atomic. Hollow collarbone, I forget everything except the melting clock, its long hand pointing to the fireworks lighting up my clavicle. I touch my skin, pressing fingers into the hollow around the bone. I'm a French cutlet, a flame-torched salmon, skin curling and blistering hard, and charcoal. In the high-pitched stasis and shuddering of machines, I think of the Montebello Islands and wonder if my body has an hour's visitation limit. And now I'm going to do one of my favorite things, which is to introduce Mark Vincenz, who always has a bio that's so lovely and lively that people like to join in. So please do. Mark Vincennes is a poet, fiction writer, translator, editor, publisher, designer, multi-genre artist, and musician. He's published many books of poetry, translations, and fiction, including more recently The Pearl Diver of Urunmani, The King of Prussia is Drunk on Stars, Spells for the Wicked with Unlikely Books, Ironclad with Spite and Dival, and All the Tricks of Language with Dos Madres Press. And next year, No More Animal Poems with White Pine Press, also accompanied by a post-classical music and spoken word album, No More Animal Songs. Mark is also a prolific translator, and he translates from German, Romanian, Spanish, Icelandic, and French. He's published 12 books of translations, including An Audible Blue, Selected Poems 1963 to 2016 by award-winning Swiss poet and novelist Klaus Merz, and that won the 2023 Massachusetts Book Prize for Translated Literature. His newest book of translations, In the House, Still Light, by Klaus Merz, was just released by White Pine Press. His own work has been translated into many languages, including, all right, I'm going to take a breath before the list, Japanese, Chinese, Russian, French, Italian, Spanish, Romanian, Greek, German, and Icelandic. He is currently working on a novel entitled The Age of Occasions. Vincennes is editor and publisher of Mad Hat Press and publisher of New American Writing. Here we go, regulars. He's lived all over the world, from Brazil to China, to Iceland, to India. He was born in Matilda Hospital on the Peak in Hong Kong, but he now lives on a farm in rural western Massachusetts, overlooking Herman Melville's Greylock Mountain, Melville's inspiration for Moby Dick, where there are still more eastern bug-sucking cone noses, two-line spittle bugs, and dragon hunters than 10-toed bipedal earthlings. Mark.
Thank you.
A poem, please.
Yeah, this one's called Trudy Cooks Fish. The fish seemed fresh that night, as if they'd been caught off the coast near Zanzibar. But no, they were bioengineered by a farm in the southern Scottish Isles, one of those where they make malt whiskey and the titans of the sky descend nightly to anoint the grass in their sanctified oils. You fried them in pats of butter, olive oil, and dill, and served them whole on a bed of Creole rice. You wore a wreath of banana leaves in your hair and served up seared plantains as dessert. Trudy said, all that coal dust must have gone to your head. And you said, it's all in the fingers, my dear. The world awakened for me that night, and it wasn't just the flavors of the ancient ocean, it was the stalk of seagrass you added to the broth. It was the lone rat who brushed my ankles as we ate. Here's to the fish, I said, raising my glass. And now I'm delighted to introduce the first of our featured readers today, who is the wonderful Kimberly Reyes, an award-winning poet, essayist, pop culture critic, and visual culture scholar. Kimberly's work has earned honors from the Poetry Foundation, the Fulbright Program, the Academy of American Poets, Canto Mundo, Cave Canem, Tin House, the Arts Council of Ireland, Culture Ireland, and many other institutions across the world. Kimberly is the author of the new poetry collection, Bloodletting, from Omnidawn in this year, as well as Vanishing Point, from Omnidawn in 2023, featuring the award-winning poetry film We Are All Drowned Out, Running to Stand Still, from Omnidawn in 2019, a finalist for the 2020 Milt Kessler Poetry Book Award, Warning Coloration from Dancing Girl Press, finalist for the Two Sylvias 2017 chapbook competition, and Life During Wartime from 14 Hills in 2019. Kimberly's also winner of the 2018 Michael Rubin Chapbook Award, and she's a recent PhD graduate, and she just joined the creative writing facility at the University of Miami as an assistant professor of creative writing in poetry. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I see some familiar faces that I haven't seen in years. So glad to see you, and some faces that I just saw a couple of months ago, and new faces. So thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I will read 3 poems from Bloodletting, and I'll just quickly say that These are poems that were part of my dissertation when I was doing my PhD program in Nebraska. That dissertation was supposed to be about a Nebraska spree killer initially, like just light material. And then, world politics took over and happened, and it became about desirability politics, politics in general, and love, which I kind of think every poem's about. But it's funny, the conversation that you were having about insects, I think leads into this first poem that I'm going to read, and it's called Fratricide. An unforgiving winter is coming, but discomfort is no longer a season. Man-made extinctions are the new norm. That's a different poem. According to beekeepers, this winter is going to be a real drag 'em out event because bees are already throwing out the excess, like months early. I'm referring to honeybees, and the somewhat unserious drones are men. And the bees that do the dirty work of keeping the hive efficient are called workers. These bees only ditch the drones early when they need to, not for sport. Workers are happy to keep the drones around for as long as it's feasible, as drones are family, offspring, partners, dependents, and housemates, and relationships are complicated. I've never met a woman who would disembowel to make a moot point. When the honeybees know it's going to be especially cold, they pack all their honey in the brood box for the surviving girl gang and their queen. The brood box, as if they know they are poets. They stay warm through winter by shivering. This silent, synchronized contraction, this tremble, becomes muscle memory. Not an overproduced concert of crickets or the melodrama of cicadas who leave so much carcass in their wake, which keeps the hive a near human 95 degrees, as if our incessant buzzing caused these matriarchs to mimic us, a solemn sentence for those who survive. This next poem is called The Sigil. I sometimes forget how grateful I should be to have a face. At 9, I was obsessed with my playground swings, rubbered, padded, black-covered, hot gray asphalt beneath all but one, whose absence I hadn't noticed as I ran to fly, arms extended, legs splayed, through the extra 3 feet into the sky my daydreams promised. On a forceful downswing, my eager weight shifted, unbalanced, as my torso slid off the warm metal, face meeting hot, bare concrete, nose, cheeks, and chin as buffer. I didn't feel the floor until my mother came running, eyes as darting black alarm. There was no pain, only new, bare wetness where skin was. That evening, there was whispering between parents, scarring and social implications that didn't permeate, as if grade school me wasn't yet me. I remember we had blood red spaghetti, and I don't think it was my lack of vanity that freed me from tantrum and fear so much as residual obedience to the stop signs in my mother's face, a hint of tryptophan in the tomatoes, and how I was still trying to stick the landing. I don't know how my face came back unscathed. The asphalt had every right to keep its integrity. But I eventually reclaimed the vestige that now awakens my phone. The sigil that, when letting the nightmares win, I sometimes allowed, meant to swipe left or right on. The face that brightens my mother's eyes, especially at airports after long spells of her only looking at its representation. Maybe thinking of all the respectable degrees and symbols I've amassed. A comfort that keeps the knots from forming in her womb, keeps the stop signs from returning at the thought of losing me. To men, to the state, the picture she'd have to show the world, the media, if necessary, to have to decide if I should live, if I should be honored in power if I die. It's the face I try to ignore most mornings because I cannot handle the wholeness of it. I literally only get text messages when I am reading poems on Zoom. Okay, let me try to close messages for the last time. Okay, and this last poem is called Claiming to Know the Tense in Which Love Happens. And it's one of those titles that leads right into the poem, so I'm going to read that again. Claiming to know the tense in which love happens is preposterous once you've been there. It's almost as silly as someone asking, when did you know? Or have you said it to each other yet? Or how long have you been together? Or better yet, how long were you together? As if answers to any of those questions can reveal anything but answers about the person asking. Because, of course, the closest thing to the truth feels like it's always happening and is still happening, and it happened before you met. And sometimes you think love is liking someone, like really liking someone, enough to want to be around them for no reason, when nothing is happening, when nothing is being said, but you feel like life is finally happening, even if you were just catching their jawline, and no one else knows why you almost dropped your wine. Like, this is maybe why you're alive, to sit and watch them smile at a sunset barbecue, or look up after turning the last page of a book. That moment of stillness, that hush, and exquisite extrication when you're unaware of any other earthly vibration. Then also, at its best, love is petty and smelly. It's pheromones and the rush of Listerine meeting metal-scarred gums, and mousse and cum-stained jeans, and missed classes, and whatchamacallit bars, and sweaty palms, and always, always, always proving what we may be, what we may still be proving to our seventh grade bullies about being chosen in that way. But really, you know if someone has been in love by how hesitant they are to kill a ladybug, or if they flinch watching anyone or anything being hurt, even on screen, in a TikTok video, even if the video is about an ugly moth, even if the pain is just secondhand, like at a reading, God, at a way too long poetry reading. Because love, however fleeting, is a tapping into a new timeline. It doesn't always last. And we don't always know when it's happened, when it's happening, which is the cruelest of all time thefts. Thank you.
Wonderful, Kimberly. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Next we hear from Jennifer Maritza McCauley, who is the author of the cross-genre collection Scar On, Scar Off, From Stalking Horse Press, and When Trying to Return Home from Counterpoint Press. A short story collection, Kinds of Grace, came out with Flower Song Press, a poetry collection, and the forthcoming speculative fiction collection, Neon Steel, from Cornerstone, University of Wisconsin. Jennifer's newest poetry collection, Versus, will be released by Texas Review Press in March 2027. She has received fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts, Kimbilio, Canto Mundo, Sundress Academy for the Arts, and her work has been called the New York Times Editor's Best Choice, a Best Choice Fiction Book of the Year by Kirkus, and has been called a must-read by Elle Bookshop, Latinx Publishing, and others. She earned her MFA in Creative Writing from Florida International University and a PhD in Literature and Creative Writing from the University of Missouri, Columbia. Jennifer is fiction editor at Pleiades and an assistant professor of English at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Kimberly. That was amazing. And thank you so much, Dorsía, for inviting me here. And thank you so much to all of you and Lit Balm for hosting this and those amazing poems. So I'm going to read some stuff from my next book. It's called Verses. It comes out in 2027, but I am going to read from it. Okay, so the first poem is called Salvate. Salvate. How have I lived this little and fucked up so much? Lost the jolt of this joking body. I'm funny starfish puckering for air in rootless mog. Washed up whelk egg carried ashore after spinning dizzy in crumbles of baby foam. It's so easy talking shit about what's wrong. And who knows, I might keep doing it. I'm just saying, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, and that crap barely budges with time. I'm always poised to leave town, sprint ready at the edge of county line, always bound to straddle the thinnest boundary, thinking, where can I find a small home? Who to tell my best secrets? Where to hide my nose in soft chests for good? Sure, the kindest hands feel strongest when they're leaving. Sure, belonging is a stupid smack of idealization. Sure, there are always differences within textured difference, but besides that, there are few better places than right now. I want to say I'm writing about rooting, but rather this is a poem about giving up your dream of the loveliest place to island. Rather, just go. Anywhere. Go. Still. Don't ask me why. Be a walking tree. Take up your bags with your best and brightest self. Burrow quickly or however long. I don't know. Sure. Go. Stay. Save that body. Just salvate. All righty. Thank you. My next poem is, so I don't write very many animal poems, but I was obsessed with these geese that were living outside of my apartment a long time ago. And I had to write about them. And I'm like, oh, this might be a metaphor for relationships or something like that. Okay, Silly Goose. For 2 months on South Providence, I watched a pair of geese live in front of liquor store lawn. They travel in pairs. I follow them on the lake face behind the shop, watch them squawk love. At curbs, they huddle together, sleeping. I am happy for them. One morning, I see the girl goose alone. She is sitting, waiting for her partner to return, bringing Missouri Flora in his mouth. Coneflower, daisies, aster. I have never seen her by herself. One morning, when jogging, I see the girl goose again. I go up to her. She is burrowed in grass, blank-eyed. I turn around and see her mate, the other one I followed. He is down the hill, flipped over, dead, next to a fast-lane road. Gray trucks speed past, his legs are in the air. The girl goose looks forward. She already knew about him. Now she doesn't know how to move on. Oh, why be so Icarus, man goose? What does your partner do with the rest of her life? This is her first new day. Okay, and I'll just do 2 short poems more and then I'll get out of here. Okay, so this is kind of a rewrite of a Bible verse, a Bible story. You might know it. So it might be a little sacrilegious, so I apologize for if that bothers you. Okay, power. I'll tell you a Bible story. My version is favorite, but you can check the original if you want. So Jesus is getting pretty big at this point. He's really blowing up. Folks are following him and he's marching on. Disciples are striding and streaking next to him. You know, Jesus always rides like 12 people deep. This woman sees Jesus, freaks out, and she's like, Jesus, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So she grabs for him and she catches him, this uncatchable man. He stops, shivers. He turns around and says, I felt a little power leak out of me. He literally says this in the translation. Or properly, someone touched me because I felt power going out from me. Anyway, she begs him for a healing and he agrees and everything works out. But yo, seriously, isn't that crazy? That this every woman touched him sucked the power from a god? That he didn't prevent it from happening? It had to be a woman. It had to. To weaken the saving man, to make him forget his pals and his mission. He stopped. He stopped for that moment. In that moment, he was disoriented. It had to be a woman. Okay. So this is the last poem. It's called Not Today, which was actually a tribute to one of my friends who sent me a K-pop video, and she was like, write a poem to this. Okay. Not today. I know this harried exhaustion. It fools and spreads with wild, trickling fingers that flay and soar and rise to unknown heights of terror and trauma. I know the new flash of phone light when you want to tell me things. I tell you, I don't want to hear. I am screaming, stop, stop, stop. But still, you remind me of my country. Look at your damn phone then. Look at it hard. I don't want to give you a bomb tonight. I want to rub your face in my holy aching. I want you to dive and blush and force your sweetened cheeks into it. I want you to die in every lush thing I tell you, and I want every knife I use to raise you to rebirth. Anyway, the other day you asked me if I want to move from this state now that I'm back in Missouri, and I said no. This is my country too. I am within it. All right, thank you so much.
Jennifer, thank you so much. Fantastic. Yeah. We're so delighted also next to hear from Ysabel Y. González, who's a Newark, New Jersey native and received a BA from Rutgers and an MFA in poetry from Drew University and serves as producer, poetry and social impact at NJPAC and Dodge Poetry. Ysabel is a Pushcart Prize nominee, author of Wild Invocations from Get Fresh Books in 2019, and Sing This Body Out, which is forthcoming from Flower Song Press. Welcome, Ysabel.
Thank you so much. And big up Kimberly and Jennifer. That was so powerful. Thank you, Dorcia, for inviting me. What a lovely evening. I'm going to be reading from Sing This Body Out. So what you need to know is that there's a persona named Chameleon in these next few poems. The chameleon is an adapter, a shapeshifter, and ever present throughout the next few poems. This first poem is called Let Me Come and Go, and the epigraph reads, This land has been around for ages, so it knows when to be nervous for itself. Chameleon. Ancient earthly gods live beneath old knotted trees. Watch while billions of us try to rule eternal. I'm here now, and in truth, there's fear that if I'm not in control, then something else is. The gods below laugh because they've seen this all before and release fireflies into the night, reminding us of their holiness. When they're ready, they will shake us from this earth. But even with divinity, fear looms quietly, like a snail with a cracked shell. Their fear spreads across my arm hairs, little fields of raised grass, and I can smell their nervousness with each heavy coated footprint I leave upon their majestic bodies. I am a magical being myself, roaming lands freely, able to move about this world, little ghosts here, there, then not. Their fear is a minute hand ticking quickly up against a garden bed, leaves of a tree turning colors, dropping before they're ready. The gods that stir beneath yield to my feet, even when I wish they wouldn't. In truth, I beg my own feet to let me come and go in a blink of a universe's eye, my own little light shining briefly amongst many others. Let me twinkle mightily, gifting back the gods the way I found them, so others after me might enjoy their deep, long breath. In truth, next lifetime, I'll learn to float, hover above dirt, great ancient bounty rising, rising, little twig here, curling green there, up through the sky, pushing past baby blue, the gods watching, nodding, yes, yes, goodbye. This next poem is called Chameleon Considers Reparations. Why does Chameleon howl her body red at sun's setting? Is she too scared to sleep? How does the little yellow on a bird's breast move her to tears? Why does my voice break when I flash back? Will funk and glitter always redeem my 8-year-old self? Can a time rift allow me to beckon my younger self, show her all the ways she is able, before dark, into night? Will her chameleon, our chameleon, brave midnight, leap her rainbowed body over fallen limbs to search forests, our land? Will land, an ancient land, forgive our fear, show us how to move tedious, we little leaves wrinkling across earth? Where is the lit path? Does moonlight unveil courage? Does courage unveil moonlight? How is peace? When is radical joy? Can my reptilian howl unveil redemption? Where does the authentic me live in America? Are my ancestors wishing I made better decisions? How do I fail at being human? When do I start praying for myself to forgive myself? When is time a box? Where is the key to release? Why timekeeping? Who am I forgiving myself from? Who made these imperfect rules? Does capitalism know it sucks? Where can I find my intuition? Does it live in the gut? Can my body unmake me beast? Redeem humanity? Redeem me? This next poem is called Dear America, and the epigraph reads, if I could convince you, would our brown bodies and blue rivers be more loved and less ruined? Natalie Diaz. It's too gorgeous a day for dying. I'm tired before the next death soaks me in, a sponge or fish, my whole swimming life wrinkling as I write this. I quench a thirst, brown river reaching, insisting I run through the hardest of hearts. If you'd believe, it would be enough for me to climb any dam, river more water than brown girl, more rippling, more blue, beaded over Borinquen skin. Each dawn grows harder to wake knowing the truth. You believe I'm more beast than ocean, and I spend my life roaring past, persisting, existing, insisting I hold like a tank. I am water. And the truth is, I awaken and seat my enemy at my table, despite your disbelief. Pour tea, boil broth, and insist we feast on me and discuss what we can, which is love, is always love. Post-pandemic, post-earth, post-water, love remains the only conversation left here that can heal us, convinces you that I am, in fact, the same agua that moves inside us all, daring you, put down fear-filled crowns and see me true. The bluest body that exists next to you is me. And I'll close with the world tries to recover. Earth is at the end of its smudge stick, nub trying to cleanse itself every several hundred years, pursuing a blankness, untouched snow. I investigate this slate, crime scene, hoping to uncover how sickness can beget wellness and humanity. It all smells like sage to me as people unravel, struggle to reimagine their lives whole in wartime without someone, with someone, or just sitting in silence. Praise our wonderment in reading each other's eyes as the sleeping mouth tucks itself under a mask. Praise the soft shadow refusing to glimmer as the rifle hangs over the face of a child. Praise time, the way it sloths, days blending into days. Praise soul friendships filling our cup, and praise the hungry spirit in you feeling helpless. No, I am thinking of you, sending you all my best intentions. Praise those sending me their blessings, choosing lit candles over broken glass. Praise my love who checks on me when I'm unable to move my body in the morning. Praise message threads that ding with joy and sorrow. Praise funerals that never happened. Praise grief. Praise the last hug you received. Praise the last phone call with the one you loved. Praise grief. Praise moving forward. Praise the wide, wide circumference of loss running through us all, filling our bodies like helium. Praise you listening to this, your aches, your joys, your own private prayers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ysabel. Fantastic. Next, we hear from Raina J. León, who was a PhD in Black Afro-Borgia and from Philadelphia, from the Lenape ancestral lands. Raina is a mother, daughter, sister, madrina, comrade, partner, poet, writer, and teacher educator. Raina believes in collective action, the profound power of holding space for the telling of our stories, and the liberatory practice of humanizing education. She is also the author of 4 books of poetry and 2 chapbooks, and founding editor of the Ascentus Review, an online quarterly devoted to the promotion and publication of Latinx arts that has published over 1,000 Latinx voices in its nearly 20-year history. Raina is Professor Emerita at St. Mary's College of California, only the 3rd Black person from all Black women, first Afro-Latina and the first Borichua to achieve that rank there. She teaches at the Stone Coast MFA at the University of Southern Maine, and she is an enrolled Higuagua Taino tribal member and very slowly learning Hiwatahia. Welcome, Raina.
Thank you. I made you work, didn't I? I made you work.
You did. How'd I do it? Was it okay?
You did pretty well. You did pretty well.
Okay.
I appreciate you. I appreciate so much the invitation today. Dorsía and Jennifer, Maritza and Ysabel and Jane, like a long time, and Kimberly. So it's wonderful to be in collective, to be in community with all of you assembled. I dropped into the chat a few things. I don't need to share a screen. I'm going to read the poems. But what I dropped into the chat was a presentation which has some archival images and a timeline that references my Aunt Doris, my great-great-aunt Doris, who was an incredible person. She transitioned when I was 4. And the story is that she was a very, very famous swing vocalist of the 1920s through 1940s. And if you didn't know me, you probably wouldn't know her, even though at the time in the paper, she was known as the Queen of Swing. So her contemporaries were Billie Holiday and Pearl Bailey and Ethel Waters, and she performed with all of them, Paul Robeson. But she performed just a few years before a lot of the recordings started. And so I've been doing a lot of work in reclaiming that story and that history. So here's a series of poems. Palo Verde. There's a tree in Arizona whose bark glows green. Its skin, the way it transforms light to life. Its rings cut would tell its age, how in the wet years there was more to learn. Cellulose, heartwood, surrounded by sapwood, a pipeline of water beneath, ever-reaching cadmium, new green. In the dry years, a ring can speak what it is to survive. Just survive. Thin as parchment, fragile testament. But what would it matter? What the tree's core reveals. History of wet and dry, an entire landscape's many lives, witnessed from the heights of a still point. What would it matter if they cut the tree down to find out how it lived? And the next few poems are about my Aunt Doris. Pearl Handled. Where she lived in North Philly, renting a room on the 3rd floor of a shared house, her closet filled to bursting with sequins, taffeta, satin sheen, and silks. It was rough. Each day she mounted the bus with her steadying cane, rode it out to the main line for day work for the Parnas family. She watched the city open in hard lines, seeing and unseen, rode back with a Black woman's fatigue, the weight. Street lights popped into brightness before her. Aren't you scared, Aunt Doris? Walking home by yourself so late, my mother asked, country girl that she still was then. Aunt Doris just lifted her house skirt up high on her tight and wrinkled thigh to the pearl-handled gun, strapped and ready, a glint in her eye. My neighbors are good, and they know who I am. We never knew enough. but we learn. And that is a true story. She must have been in her 70s at that point. And it wasn't just one, there were two guns. So, Aunt Doris sings I'm Doing What I'm Doing for Love. And I've been finding in my research all of these different songs that she was known and celebrated for singing. And I was preparing to read this poem for a reading. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try and sing a little lick of this song. And y'all, they're like three different, four, if not four, like a huge octave range, three different time signatures at least. It's for people who sang, not just sing, not like hold a melody. Like it's very clear that I can sing, but I don't sing. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that wrong. So the song is called I'm Doing What I'm Doing for Love. We're the ones who break laws, flaunt their shimmy, flash their legs to tantalize my sisters now, Billy, Pearl, even a princess named Olga. They are all dead. And here I am old and still sassing. It hurts my eyes to follow the loops of this Bill's words or that one's numbers, and I don't have the hop I used to, taking the apartment stairs. Count Basie knew how to count 'em in, but the only horns blaring now belong to the cars rushing me along to the bus. And my thighs remember the grip of my man's head to his work as much as they remember how to dance, propel my legs up high and kick the sky, held aloft almost to flight. Oh, I could swing. They called me the queen of swing, a prize singer of the colored race, the blue streak of Harlem, a mezzo-soprano of demure dignity, sweet singer of the South, maybe south of Pittsburgh. And my lungs remember how to hold a whole hurricane of bellow as well as a delicate husk of fall, so restrained that millions of radio listeners would lean in to catch my punctuated breath. There was no one like me. No one like me, and you don't know my name. And I'll read you just two short poems. This is Olokun Pulls on the Chain, and one of the articles that I found was about Jessie DeArmond, who was only just 25 when she identified his body in the Hudson River. After the death of Jessie DeArmond, July 17, 1935, Aunt Doris identifies the body. The big band announcements praised his angelic channeling, his body a cable to heaven. But gods below want their singers too. The current yawned, then pulled, entertain me. The girls he was with saw the tide turn to rip. He was not yet 25. Did he do what new men do, boast his chisel and cut and swim a water trail behind him, man-made snake? They breasted the tide and the girls felt the undertow, decided to swim to the wharf. Giggles turned to hard breathing, him just behind. Then he swam against the current. Then a vortex sucked him down, or whirlpool, without a word. On the ferry back to New Jersey to sing at the campus club, it was Doris who saw the boat, knew his face. She had bathed in his teeth's shine, smiled brighter than any stage light. She knew his face. Sepia Bing, they called him in the papers. His picture a profile in black and white. His cheeks as full as a cherub's. A bullfrog sung nearby, a lullaby he had just learned from a new stage in the deep. And this last poem, Aunt Doris at the grave of Francis, who died in 1947 of TB. My uncle Francis, he too was in his 20s. There was a massive epidemic across the country in 1947 that killed so many people. And he, who was a pianist as well as a singer, also succumbed and died in Arizona. More my son than my son. A song bleeds petals in your throat. My sister's body swells with another body. The ground gnaws beneath the snow for you. More my son than my son, oh lyric baritone to my mezzo-soprano, you are dead and shouldn't be. A pandemic crimson spray on your lips. It's cruel to carry your sound in my mouth. You should sing for yourself. I can't stop shouting. Francis! 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 Start again at the beginning of the measure. Thank you all.
Wonderful. I mean, I'm blown away by all this poetry today. Next, we have Dorsía Smith Silva, who's the author of An Inheritance of Drowning, and by the way, who's also the one who helped us curate this fantastic show of Puerto Rican poets. The Inheritance of Drowning came out with Kevin Carey in 2024 and was a category finalist for the National Indie Excellence Award, the Eric Hoffer Award, Whirling Prize, and Da Vinci Eye magazine. Reviewed by Publishers Weekly and recommended by Ms. Magazine. Dorsía is the poetry editor, the Hopper and full professor of English at the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras, Literary Hub, Poets.org Daily, Poetry Daily, and the Los Angeles Review have published her work. And Dorsía has received fellowships and scholarships from Bread Loaf and the Martha's Vineyard Institute of Creative Writing. She's also the author of Good Girl, editor of Latina Chicana Mothering, and the co-editor of 7 books looking to increase the visibility of poetry by BIPOC authors. She is the creator of the Smith Silva Challenge, which is a reading challenge that highlights poetry books by BIPOC authors. And Dorsía has a PhD in Caribbean literature and language. Welcome, Dorsía.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you to Ysabel, Jennifer, Raina, Jane, Kimberly. This is just an amazing, amazing moment. Thank you again, Lit Balm, for having us. I'm going to read just a few poems. The first one I'm going to read from my book, which is An Inheritance of Drowning. And the book looks at the racial, social, and political injustices in the United States, and it highlights the beginning, middle, and aftermath of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. So the first poem I'm going to read is called My Grandmother's Photo, and it's been on my mind, especially since we're almost at the end of hurricane season, but I watch the news pretty much every day, and they've been showing a lot of the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica. And when people say they lose everything, we're not talking about, your clothes, your children's toys, the mementos that you can never get back. And so I wrote this poem called My Grandmother's Photo, thinking of that. What happens when you have a natural disaster and you lose those mementos that mean so much to you, and there's no way to get them back? My grandmother's photo. She smiles in black and white, cotton pleated dress with a thick belt, showing her newlywed 25-inch waist, a size 4, long before the folds of stretched skin from 3 children. Her ebony hair hangs in shiny cascading ringlets, held by a slip of red ribbon and crystal combs. Her hand is wrapped tightly around my grandfather's, new gold branding their fingers, paid for by the weight of dirt and hot-dawn mornings. With just one day, the rain washes out my grandmother's body and makes her a false whisper upon inspection. Brown dots replace her smile, and her hands are swallowed by dark spirals and bubbles. The thin edges fall into wrinkled tatters, sprinkles of paper breaking faster from sheets of water. The wind pushes her cracked and rearranged besides an overturned car, like a new broken flower in the grave. And the next one I'm going to read has also been on my mind. It talks about Puerto Rico and food insecurity, what's happening right now with people not getting their benefits, but especially after a natural disaster when you're waiting for aid. So this poem is called Puerto Rico as Non-Erasure. You can find it online. Split This Rock published it, and I'm going to read it with a lot of feeling in my heart. Puerto Rico is non-erasure. Survival occupies us with our blank shopping carts next to blank shelves. We grow desperate because spaces are blank. A hurricane that leaves a bitter taste as stores carry bare wrappers and blank sympathy. To brace for the blank light that is lined with a blank canvas of green. The thoughts of paying for a generator is a surplus of blank pockets. Our unfinished wishes roll from our lips like blank blessings that wait for air. We already know the point blank news. It is hurricane season. A map to bare knuckle Puerto Rico. How grief piles on top of itself. It is not enough to have a blank promise. So we cut away the US blanket of support that is transparent like blank paper. During such times as this, we pull apart the blank spaces until those blank stars fill and return to our ocean. Blank shopping carts next to blank shelves. Spaces are blank, bare wrappers and blank sympathy. Braced for the blank light, a blank canvas of green, blank pockets, blank blessings that wait for air. Point blank news, bare knuckle Puerto Rico, blank promise, US blanket of support, transparent like blank paper. Pull apart blank spaces until blank stars fill and return our ocean. Blank shopping cart, shelves, spaces, wrappers, sympathy, light, canvas of green, pockets, blessings, news, Puerto Rico, promise, paper, spaces, until blank stars fill ocean. Blank shopping carts, shelves, blank spaces, sympathy, light, blank canvas of green, blank pockets, blessings, paper, promise, until blank stars fill. Blank spaces of green, blank pockets, paper promise, until blank stars fill. And the next poem I'm going to read is called Ghost Talker Poem. It's one of my favorite poems, and I'm going to read it to highlight all the BIPOC women that go missing and do not get the national attention they so rightly deserve. Ghost Talker Poem. And for the Black girls that go missing from newspaper headlines and Spotlight 5 p.m. news, what happened to them? Kick the can over, see if the bones glint in the slips of sunshine. Press your ears against the grass. Listen to what bleeds. My mother in her lovely tongue. Those girls are probably with friends, hanging out in the basement, wearing cigarette pants. Cigarette pants were fashionable once. They will turn up, like loose change sidelined under sofa cushions, overdue books sandwiched in sweaters, favorite hairpins gagged by vents. Don't fret. Fret is a funny word for a young child. Sounds like forget. Don't forget, I won't, about the missing Black girls. Probably already dead in a ditch or a field somewhere. I'm not supposed to think about death, passing away, kick the bucket 6 feet under, meeting our maker, which is what my teacher said. The class guinea pig had stopped moving. Mrs. Hayes poked its feet and then shoved it into a shoebox, said that we could bury it across from the tire swing in the back of the schoolyard. The dirt was ordinary, brown, hard. Eat your snacks, said my mother. Twinkies from 7-Eleven, maybe Wawa. Nothing from Super Fresh or Pathmark. White filling, creamy like white fungus, oozing like zit pus, besmirching golden cake. The news says nothing about the Black girls that go missing, not even a speck in someone's unread newspaper. Silence is when we inherit ghosts. I see them taking victory laps every night. And the last poem I'm going to read, it's a positive poem. I always think of the color green, especially here in Puerto Rico, green, the color of life, vibrancy, nature, and really the color for me of healing. So this poem is called G is for Greenhood. G is for greenhood, for spring sitting on my shoulders, then fastening to eye level, chantus, gladiola, spinning, bowing in the distance, sense of green, greening until earth gets it right, green that I can't keep to myself. Say, green, belongs within reach, like an extract of the sepal outside of the flower body. You wouldn't recognize me when I cradle green, for fear of it becoming worn in many places. Even when morning lurks upside down, green, not this green, never hurts. Ask the turacos giving off green among drizzled leaves. Ask the grasshoppers that throw themselves against grass because it glistens. Ask wet green in my blood that hasn't forgotten spared green across homeland, where your green overlaps with mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Amazing, amazing reading, Dorsía. And once again, thanks so much for curating this amazing reading with all your wonderful friends, these amazing poets, Kimberly, Jennifer, Ysabel, Raina, and who we are going to hear next is Jane Alberdeston Coral, whose work has been published in various anthologies and journals such as Kalu Literary Journal, Sargasso, the Ascentus Review, Rock and Sling, and Louisiana Literary Review, and her new novel, Colony 51, is just about to become released by Jaded Ibis Press. Jane teaches creative writing at Old Dominion University in Virginia, and she's working on a collection of short stories called Vivid Gods. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you very much, Mark. And I want to really thank, if I could hug Dorsía and everyone in the room, I would right now. All the poetry has made my breath skip. So thank you so very much. Just beautiful, beautiful work. Makes me, want to get back to the drawing board. I'm going to read a couple of poems. One is A Night with Freddie. And for reference, you might recognize the character Freddie from Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not the one you want to kill, is what I would have said to you, but we were already so far into a listicle about the 10 best horror flicks we'd ever seen, our smiles pinging against the sides of our glasses like the bells of St. Mary's. You call out as your number one Hitchcock Psycho, but then admit you feared I might think it's cliche, and we crack up enough just to make the table to our right glance from behind their menus. I can see it is the first time you'd laughed in a long time, though the furnace fires still burn in your eyes. When I mention I'm a poet, you insist I read to you from the notes app in my phone. My voice falls low and intimate. Your breath is canned rage. The candlelight flickers as if this were date night. For a moment, between metaphors, I wonder if I was the dupe in the story of your hot revenge and not just a new friend enjoying a dreamy plate of creme brulee. You rest your head against your palm. You say my poem reminds you of your mother. When the townspeople set you aflame, you remember you called out for her who'd given you bedtime stories and kisses, candy and baths. She who taught you to love everyone wholly. You say she named you after the poet and revolutionary. Federico, you whisper. We sit in your silence. You are still raw, broken in all the ways people learn to break others. I know that if I lift that green and red striped sweater, there will be a voltic crag where the heart meant to be. I say something to that effect, and your eyes burn like an exaltation. You growl, and the other patrons half turn in their bistro seats to peer with suspicious eyes, as if we are both deserving of their notice. Because of this, I tell you about my many lonely rooms. I tell you about being 17 and crossing Franklin Square when a car buzzed past me yelling out the N-word. How after I stayed inside for days. I tell you about the night I was lost looking for l'enfant, and when I asked for directions, a pair of women in furs paled, then hurried across the street. The sounds of their evening heels clucking away is still a noise in my mind I wish I could slice and burn to nothing. You look at me, recognize something yet unshaped. The server stops asking if we want anything else from the menu. From the way a strand of her hair is listless, floating, it's clear her shift nears its end. There are a few diners left, a box of their leftovers in their hands, growing cold. Their babysitter has already texted that she needs a ride home. Somewhere in the chaos of their lives, they will carve out a time to sleep, if only to close themselves away from their hunger, all that ravenous and rending hunger. Stragglers, they will drag the last of the night into their dreams, its mists waiting for them as they trip outside. That was kind of a dare to write something horrific. Thank you. So I'm going to read the next one, which is it's to my mom, about my mom. Last meal. The day before you fell into a coma that would eventuate your death, you asked me to help you make patitas. The pig's feet sat only a shade or two less pink than the styrofoam tray they lay in, cellophane wound tight around their skin. They were so pink, I thought I heard them snap like the wide mouth of a fished snapper. The feet were that pink, tattooed in USDA blue. When you told me to unwrap them from all that plastic, I thought only about how heavy, how cold, yet wholly alive. I thought of playground mud and Charlotte and her web and Piglet. I thought of my father's people on a hillside in Guanica gathering around to celebrate a native son's return. I will never forget the squeals spinning out and over me, the machete echo so high it pinched my eyes and made me cry and cry till my cheeks puffed hot flush and no one would come near me. So possessed I looked. That was then, this is now, my last chance to show you who I am. I grab a pig's foot, begin to work, and don't say a thing. But you remember for me, Mommy. Talk of how our ancestors salted them, brined them for safekeeping. The ones in my hand were relatively fresh, their flesh, our sweat, their salt, a history, a remnant of how we all came in from the sea. Échalo ahí, you instruct, and so they go from the package right into the Dutch oven we bought at the big box store because it hurts too much to remember, because new is better, because who needs the big black Gardero cauldron so burnt you left, so burnt you left, so burnt black you first left it, so burnt black you left the island back, you left black, so black you left. No te olvides, el repollo. You warned from your seat, your walker shaped around you, meant to hold you up, not back. Yes, I forget it's me cooking this time, me standing where for all my life you stood, hum or whistle in your mouth, your hips dancing, a stove burner bolero inside a single linoleum tile. Yes, it's me, Mommy, your handful of cabbage now mine, and with it the sofrito and the fine hair of ñame and fingers stained by the flesh of plantain and all its memories of who fed us. Mine, your land of hunger and want, and I am the fairy tale in a fairyland of tormenta and hurricane, earthquake and waves that swallow barrios, then spit them out to the sea. This language alone makes me villain of my own story. I am the pig, I am the wolf, lost in these woods, eating my own breadcrumbs. You wave at me to hurry. There's little time. Nena, ahora la pimienta acaba. And so I throw myself in to the boiling pot and swim. Who caught these pigs' feet? Who wielded that blade, laid the lip of their belly against the shoulder, hovering like a hummingbird over a hibiscus bloom? Who rested against the pig's flank, their body the measure of the best crop? Who pulled at the head of the sow and stared until there was nothing but blood in the eyes? Who saved the offal, spooned the blood to stuff intestines or thicken soup? Who stirred the pot, slow and careful, in the back of the kitchen, unseen, forgotten? Come forward, spirit, say your name. ¿Y tu abuela, dónde está? Ajá, 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 muy bien. Ahora lo garbanzo, you whisper. The work almost done. Hands drum a bata in the distance. You almost turn around. Mommy, I call. Let me show you who I am. The beans spilling from my fingers. Famished after 2 days of grieving, your youngest sat with a bowl, each spoonful gathering all that was left. Thank you. And I just have a quick short one. Just a quick, it's called The Story. Stop right there. Don't talk to me about how the conquistadors aren't relevant anymore, or how the Jones Act doesn't have its shark teeth eating at my side. Don't preach the prose of disaster, or sell the economies of an anciano's breath, or disregard the parallel rising rates of luxury home sales and suicides. Just don't. I am not your plate of rice and beans. I am not your agent of salsa. I am grown from my mother's tree, her womb, a blooming ponciana, roots cracking through to our long story. Thank you, everyone. It's been a real pleasure to listen to all the poetry. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Jane. Fantastic. And of course, thank you, Dorsía, for putting this incredible crew together, including Raina, Ysabel, Jennifer, Kimberly, and of course, Jane as well, and yourself. Thank you so much. But before we move on to the open mic section, we're going to hear from John Wessick, who's had hundreds of poems and stories that have appeared in hundreds of journals and magazines such as New Verse News, Patterson Literary Review, and Unlikely Stories. John is original editor of the San Diego Poetry Journal, Annual, and host of the Gelato East Fiction Open Mic, as well as the NAV Arts Poetry Reading. His latest short story collection is St. John the Blasphemer. He lives in Manchester, New Hampshire, and longs for gene editing to bring giant wombats back from extinction.
Thank you, Mark. What a great reading. Here is the book, and I will read just the opening to one of the stories. It's called His Second Mistake. Leonard Shumway's first mistake was asking me to judge a poetry slam whose contestants pander to an audience that doesn't read, slam teenage bravado and rants about social injustice, slam where all the poems sound the same and the guy who yells fuck loudest wins. To be fair, many winners deliver fine poems, but getting there is like running a marathon barefoot on broken glass. I hate poetry slams. Every time I took part, I went away feeling dirty. They're like seeing my daughter stripped naked and dragged through a sewer, but I needed the money. $70 would keep me in notebooks and whiskey. I loaded my Smith & Wesson 29 with jacketed hollow points and closed the cylinder. The air smelled of Hoppy's number 9 solvent, and overhead lights reflected from its blued steel barrel. Chekhov said that once you introduce a pistol, it has to go off. Fuck Chekhov! I've been carrying ever since that old lady pulled a rusty jackknife at an open mic, and I haven't shot a man yet. Hell, just one look at my 44 Magnum's enough to make a language poet bother somebody else. I holstered my revolver and covered it with a lime green Gaiabara. Anyway, it's in the book. St. John the Blasphemer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've got to love a Chekhovian intertextual reference. I don't know, though, the curmudgeonly, like, I love a good poetry slam. I'm going to put it out there, but such an entertaining piece. Thank you so much, John. We have Dominique to open the open, and you will love not only the poem that she reads, but also her gorgeous accent. Dominique.
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm going to read a nasty little prose poem called Lolita's Riposte. Obsession is an eye fixed to a metronome. I drain my glass of Mouton Rothschild, chew the langue de chat you bought at Maxim's, stare into my empty glass. Now you wander along the Brussels crowd. Now you are in Berlin, darting across the skating ring, shadowing the doll on quaking skates, retrieving the glove that she dropped. The mitt rumples, rips, comes alive, beckons. Now you are in Cadaqués, stretched against jagged rocks, gliding to the sea. The glove strokes your face. Look at my hand, I say, feathered in its shell. I painted my nail cerise for you. I prick the blisters on my fingertips, skin off the barnacles. You edge your way down the rocky cliff, clasp the rope you fastened to my ankle, now holding the earth together. A chimera hovers over us. We taste the hamak ilanon. Drink. I surrender to your plump testicles. Cracks run wide and deep down the rock face. Sheets of sediment collapse along my exquisite corpse. You are a fish flipping in a storm gray expanse. My lips grow black.
Ah, I love this poem so much. I'm so glad that I got to hear you read it. The opening metronome image, it still haunts me. So do the plump testicles and the exquisite herb. It's a wonderful piece. Thank you so much, Dominique.
Thank you.
We have the chair of Lit Balm, as he's now known, apparently. DeWitt. He's always going to have something fun.
You can hear me?
Yep.
Good. Okay. This is something short, which I'll dedicate to Cindy. It's called At a Loss, and I'm experimenting with silence. This null and a void, this empty space, who knew? There used to be reason, something to compensate for, or reconcile, replace, revive. Never, 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 never. Unfounded, irretrievable.
I think we'll take that as an audition. It's so good the way you read it. Like, never, never. I love it. Absolutely. You get into the theatre production for sure after that one. Thank you. And Cindy will be loving the fact that it's dedicated to her because she's awesome. She'll read a bit later. We have the incredible Kurt Lovelace, who is going to have his microphone that makes his voice even more booming.
Oh, no. Could you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. What have
Okay.
you got for us today?
It's a draft poem. It's called Mother. Mother. Wrapped in this rapturous world, we can't duck the ineluctable and exuberant ebony of night, nor can we recant our sins with disavowal, though we may try. I don't know if I can ever let go of your hand leaving me at 11. Absence creates an abyss in the mind, too deep to plummet with any length of gauge. Some things are not forgivable, though one might wish they be. In the void of your leaving, I fell into the continuation, and the cant of fantasy has shaped my falling ever since. Today, my skin mesmerizes in sunlit rain, oily textures, rainbow, bending along my flesh in chromodramatic slicks. Luck, my being here now a witness to this life.
Wow, what a poem. What a poem. My goodness. How can you beat that when you start with wrapped in this rapturous world? Incredible. Absolutely loved it. It's quite sad too, all the absence and the spaces. And thank you so much for reading. It's a cracker open today. Vicky, what do you got?
Hello there. Well, I've just started working on what I hope will be a new body of work, and it's inspired very much by the concept of alternative universes and how different we might be or how similar, and things like experimental physics notions like the observation paradox, which is so weird that you look at something and it changes. So this is a very short prose poem, and it's called Gentle. Flickering glances welling from the depths, the discipline of not staring. Flux is overrated and I crave stability. Looking over at him quickly before he can change again, I ask, "Are you okay?" He glances in my direction. "Oh, I think so, thanks. You?" "Quite reliable at the moment, amazingly," I say, and I can hear us both smiling.
Wow, we love your new body of work. It gets the thumbs up here, and we love an observation paradox. Thank you for that. That's awesome. And we finish with our Bobsy twins, as sometimes I call them, incredible badass poetry from Cindy. What do you got? Cindy, you have so many things you can possibly read these days, even though you're so humble.
You know what? Last week I promised I would not read one of my I Am the Girl poems.
That's true.
Because the book is coming out. It's only 10 poems. And remember, I said buy the damn book. But I decided, why not preview it? Not only preview it, but you've all probably heard this one because it happened to be in my last book until I revised it. So I'm going to read my I Am the Girl travel version. I am the girl with the bon voyage eyes. I am the girl who is waving goodbye. I am the girl with the contraband in her backpack. I am the girl who won't take off her shoes. I am the girl who won't wash her hands. I am the girl who put the tower in your Eiffel. I am the girl who put the cockney in your bollocks. I am the girl with Stockholm syndrome. I am the girl who sold you that bridge. I am the girl whose heart bleeds for Palestine. I am the girl whose heart bleeds for Israel. I am the girl with a boatload of baggage. I am the girl who never leaves home without it. I am the girl who doesn't go very far.
Oh, great one. Bon voyage, eyes. What an image. And of course, you have contraband in your backpack. Why would I know that about you?
You
Love it.
gave it to me, sis.
Alrighty. Sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You
Yep.
told me to hold on to it.
Excellent. We're going to finish the only way we can finish the open with Bob, the kitchen laureate, who knows what he's got for us. He's here. He's willing and able. Bob, what do you got?
Something pretty new.
Ooh.
Doesn't know. Doesn't know who, but becomes him once he is described. The waves of the sea, what he remembers, but then forgets again. The rules he is given, only appropriate for some other man.
And that's how Bob likes to end the open. So we're all going with this ambiguous, thought-provoking ending. And the fact that Bob says that he doesn't know what frogs' legs taste like because they had too much garlic. So he just tasted garlic. Both things, Bob. You topped and tailed. Lit Balm. Thank you. Or book-ended might be nicer. You book-ended, Lit Balm. Thank you so much. And we're back to Mark.
Yeah, those frog legs might as well have been like escargot anyway. I have to say, this evening was superb. And I have to give giant thanks to Dorsía for pulling these amazing poets together. Kimberly, Jennifer, Ysabel, Raina, Jane, and herself, of course. So yeah, what a wonderful reading. Next time, we shall hear from several interesting poets, including Leslie Ullman, Teresa Jeglievich, and Mike Carlson, and Mariana Zaro. That's on November 29. But to close the show today, I'm going to do a little something from my book, forthcoming, Coalition number 9. This is called Anti-Velocity. Bring yourself down to a slow beat. You sense all the vibrations running, the clogged traffic lanes, the creak and snap of tires on asphalt, the jackhammers conspiring even miles away across town on the edge of the wilderness in the nooks of old trees. You hear pine cones leaping, needles rustling, the mice restlessly settle into their burrows and their hollows and bear more mice. You call this meditation? You said. I can't get past the cinder blocks, let alone scratch the surface of a face. You made your way through a narrow tunnel. Here's something awful. And this is hopelessly me. The art of slowing things down drags awake. As if encased in a mass of gelatin, you stare yourself down a dead-end alley, then wobble precariously in light and shade. Thank you guys for an amazing reading. And we shall see you November 29, right? And hey guys, like lots of love, lots of poetry. Let's forget about the politics and live. Okay, thanks.